What if I told you that the difference between a trader who loses money for years and a trader who builds lasting wealth has almost nothing to do with strategy? Think about that. Every day, thousands of traders stare at the exact same charts, use the exact same indicators, and even take the exact same trades. Yet one walks away with confidence while the other walks away with regret. Why? Because the market doesn't reward intelligence. It doesn't reward hard work. It rewards the mind behind every decision. If you've ever revenge traded after a loss, held on to a losing position hoping it would come back, or felt unstoppable after one big win, only to give it all back, then this video is for you. The painful truth is that the market isn't exposing your strategy, it's exposing your psychology. And until one thing changes inside your mind, nothing will permanently change in your results. Today, you're going to discover the one mental shift that separates consistently profitable traders from everyone else. You'll learn why trying to be right is destroying your performance, how professional traders think differently about winning and losing, why discipline always beats emotion, how to stop chasing money and start trusting your process, and the identity change that transforms trading from an emotional battle into a game of long-term consistency. Stay with me until the end, because this one shift has the power to completely change the way you see the market and the way you see yourself. Chapter 1, The Lie You've Been Trading. Stop for a second and ask yourself one uncomfortable question. What if everything you believed about becoming a profitable trader has been built on a lie? Not a lie someone intentionally told you, but a lie you accepted because it felt true. You believed that one more indicator would finally unlock consistency, one more strategy, one more course, one more YouTube video. You kept telling yourself, I'm just one breakthrough away. So you kept searching. You changed systems. You switched time frames. You chased the latest market guru. You blamed volatility. You blamed manipulation. You blamed bad luck. But deep down, every loss whispered the same painful question. Why does this keep happening to me? Let me tell you something that most traders never realize. The market is not testing your strategy first. It's testing your mind. It is testing your patience. It is testing your discipline. It is testing your ability to stay calm when everything inside you wants to panic. The charts are not emotional. The candles don't care about your hopes. Price doesn't know you exist. Yet somehow, every movement feels personal. Every losing trade feels like an attack on your intelligence. Every missed opportunity feels like proof that you're falling behind. Every winning trade makes you feel invincible. And that emotional roller coaster becomes your real opponent. Understand this. The market doesn't create your emotions. It reveals them. It reveals your fear. It reveals your impatience. It reveals your ego. That's why two traders can enter the exact same trade at the exact same price. And one walks away with confidence while the other walks away with regret. The difference was never the chart. The difference was the mind looking at the chart. Think about your last losing trade. Was the pain really about the money, or was it about feeling wrong? Feeling embarrassed? Feeling like you failed? Because most traders aren't actually trying to make money, they're trying to prove something. They're trying to prove they're smart enough, good enough, better than everyone else, and that silent need to be right becomes the most expensive habit they'll ever have. Every time the market moves against them, instead of accepting reality, they argue with reality. They add to losers. They ignore stop losses. They hope. They pray. They refuse to admit they were wrong because their identity has become attached to every single trade. This is where everything changes. The profitable trader isn't someone who predicts the future. The profitable trader is someone who accepts uncertainty without letting it destroy their emotions. Read that again in your mind. They don't need certainty. They don't need perfection. They don't need to win every trade. They simply need to protect their thinking. Because once your thinking stays clear, your decisions become clear. And once your decisions become clear, consistency begins to appear. The biggest lie you've been trading is that profitability lives somewhere outside of you. It doesn't. The real breakthrough isn't hidden inside another strategy. It's hidden inside your mindset. And once that truth finally sinks in, you'll never look at the market the same way again. Because in the next chapter, you're going to discover why your desperate need to be right is quietly destroying every chance you have of becoming consistently profitable. Chapter 2, The Day You Stop Needing to Be Right. Imagine waking up tomorrow and placing a trade without feeling the desperate need for it to win. At first, that probably sounds impossible. Your mind immediately pushes back. If I don't want to win, why would I trade? But that's the wrong question. The real question is this: why does every losing trade feel like a personal attack on your identity? Think about it. The moment price starts moving against you, your heartbeat changes. Your breathing becomes shallow. Your fingers hover over the mouse. Suddenly you're not following your plan anymore. You're negotiating with the market. Just come back a little. Give me one more candle. I'll get out at break even. You're no longer making decisions based on probability. You're making decisions based on emotion. And emotion has one mission: to protect your ego. Let me tell you something that separates professionals from everyone else. Professional traders don't measure success by whether they're right. They measure success by whether they executed their process correctly. That sounds simple, but it's one of the hardest mental shifts you'll ever make. Because from the time you were a child, you were rewarded for being right. Right answers earned good grades. Right decisions earned praise. Being wrong felt like failure. That conditioning follows you into the market, but the market plays by different rules. Here, even the best traders are wrong over and over again. They lose trades, they experience drawdowns, they watch perfect setups fail for no apparent reason. The difference is that they don't take those losses personally. They don't argue with reality. They simply move on. Understand this. Every time you refuse to accept a small loss, you're telling yourself that protecting your ego is more important than protecting your capital. Read that again. You're not fighting the market. You're fighting your own need to feel correct. And that battle is one you can never win. The market doesn't care how convinced you are. It doesn't reward confidence. It rewards discipline. It doesn't punish mistakes. It punishes the refusal to admit mistakes. This is why so many traders turn a manageable loss into a devastating one. Not because they lack knowledge, but because their identity is trapped inside the trade. They think, if this trade loses, then I failed. No, a losing trade doesn't make you a losing trader. Breaking your rules does. Chasing losses does. Letting pride override discipline does. The trade itself is simply information, nothing more, nothing less. Picture a professional poker player for a moment. They know that even with the best hand, they can still lose a single round. But they don't slam the table. They don't change their entire strategy because of one unlucky outcome. They understand probabilities. Trading works the same way. You are not paid for predicting every move. You are paid for making quality decisions repeatedly over time. This is where freedom begins. The moment you stop needing every trade to prove your intelligence, you remove the emotional weight from every decision. You become calmer, more patient, more objective. You stop forcing opportunities because you no longer need constant validation. You wait, you observe, you execute. Then you let the outcome be whatever it will be. Because your confidence is no longer built on one trade, it's built on hundreds of disciplined decisions. And once that happens, something remarkable begins to change. You stop chasing the market, and for the first time you become capable of following a process. That process, not prediction, is what creates lasting profitability. And in the next chapter, you'll discover why chasing money is the very thing keeping it out of your hands, and how shifting your focus to process changes everything. Chapter 3, From Chasing Money to Following Process. Picture yourself sitting in front of your trading screen before the market opens. Your plan is ready, your risk is defined, you promised yourself that today would be different, but then the opening bell rings, price starts moving fast, and suddenly that promise disappears. Your eyes aren't following your rules anymore, they're following the candles. Your heart isn't listening to your strategy anymore. It's listening to the possibility of quick money. Before you even realize what's happening, you've entered a trade that wasn't part of your plan. Why? Because you weren't chasing opportunity. You were chasing money. And the moment money becomes your primary focus, your process quietly dies. Let me explain why. When every trade is about making money right now, every tick against you feels unbearable. And every tick in your favor makes you greedy for more. You begin closing winners too early because you're afraid they'll disappear. You let losers run because you can't accept losing money. You increase position sizes after a win because you feel unstoppable. Then you overtrade after a loss because you feel desperate to recover. Notice the pattern. Every decision is being controlled by the emotional value you've attached to money instead of the discipline value you've attached to execution. This is where most traders unknowingly sabotage themselves. They think profitable traders wake up asking, how much money can I make today? They don't. Consistently profitable traders wake up asking, can I execute my plan today? That is a completely different mindset. Understand this. Money is the outcome, process is the cause. Most people become obsessed with the outcome while completely ignoring the cause. Imagine a professional athlete walking onto the field thinking only about the championship trophy. Every pass would feel overwhelming. Every mistake would feel catastrophic. The pressure would destroy performance. Elite athletes focus on the next play, the next movement, the next decision. They trust that if they execute enough quality actions, the scoreboard will eventually take care of itself. Trading is no different. Every profitable career is built one disciplined decision at a time. One properly managed trade, one respected stop loss, one patient entry, one controlled exit, one repeated habit after another. It doesn't feel exciting. It feels boring. And that's exactly why it works. Because consistency is rarely exciting. It is repetitive. It is methodical. It is quiet. Meanwhile, emotional trading feels exciting. It gives you adrenaline. It makes every session feel like a casino. But excitement is often the enemy of long-term profitability. Let me tell you something that may completely change how you look at your trading journal. Stop measuring your day by dollars. Start measuring your day by discipline. Did you follow your rules? Did you wait for your setup? Did you respect your risk? Did you accept the outcome without forcing another trade? If the answer is yes, then you had a successful day, even if you lost money, because disciplined execution creates habits, and habits create consistency. Consistency creates confidence. And confidence built on discipline lasts much longer than confidence built on lucky wins. This is the mental shift very few traders ever make. They stop trying to control profits and start controlling behavior. They realize they cannot command the market, but they can command themselves. They cannot predict every outcome, but they can repeat high-quality decisions again and again. That is the path to real freedom. And once you begin trusting your process more than your emotions, something unexpected happens. Losses stop feeling like personal failures and start becoming valuable information. That realization will completely transform the way you experience setbacks, and it's exactly where we're going next. Chapter 4. Why every loss is secretly training you. Here's a truth that almost every struggling trader spends years trying to avoid. The trade that hurts you the most is often the one that has the greatest potential to transform you. That sounds backwards, doesn't it? Because every instinct inside you tells you to run from losses, hide from them, forget them, and move on as quickly as possible. The moment you take a loss, your mind starts searching for someone or something to blame. Maybe the market was manipulated, maybe the news ruined the setup, maybe the broker widened the spread, maybe the strategy stopped working. Anything feels easier than looking in the mirror. But let me ask you something. If every loss is always someone else's fault, then where will your growth ever come from? Understand this. The market is the most honest teacher you will ever have. It doesn't flatter you. It doesn't comfort you. It simply reflects your decisions back to you. If you were impatient, it shows you impatience. If you were greedy, it shows you greed. If you ignored your rules, it shows you the cost of ignoring them. It doesn't judge you. It simply reveals you. That's why the best traders don't fear losses. They study them. They become curious instead of emotional. After every losing trade, they ask different questions than everyone else. They don't ask, why did this happen to me? They ask, what can this teach me? That single change in perspective turns pain into progress. Think about every skill you've ever mastered in life. You didn't learn to ride a bike without falling. You didn't learn to drive without making mistakes. You didn't become better by succeeding every single time. You became better because every mistake gave you information your success never could. Trading works exactly the same way. A winning trade can make you feel smart even if you broke every rule. A losing trade can make you feel stupid even if you executed your plan perfectly. That's why results alone are dangerous teachers. The lesson is hidden inside the quality of the decision, not the outcome. Let me tell you something that professional traders understand deeply. There are good losses and there are bad wins. A good loss is a trade where you followed your plan, respected your risk, accepted the outcome, and walked away with discipline intact. A bad win is a trade where you ignored your rules, got lucky, and convinced yourself that reckless behavior was acceptable. Which one do you think builds a stronger trader over time? The answer is obvious once you remove your ego from the equation. Every disciplined loss strengthens your future. Every undisciplined win weakens it. This is why you must stop measuring your growth by your account balance alone. Measure it by your emotional stability. Measure it by how quickly you recover after a loss. Measure it by whether you can take the next valid setup without fear or hesitation. Measure it by whether your confidence survives a red day. Because true confidence isn't believing you'll never lose. True confidence is knowing that one loss cannot destroy you because your edge was never based on one trade. It was built across hundreds of disciplined repetitions. Remember this whenever the next losing trade arrives. It is not the end of your journey. It is another page in your education. Another opportunity to sharpen your thinking. Another chance to become the trader you are trying to become. The market isn't asking you to be perfect. It's asking you to keep learning. And once you truly understand that, you'll be ready for the biggest transformation of all. The moment you stop trying to predict every move and begin thinking the way consistently profitable traders think, in probabilities rather than certainties. Chapter 5. Becoming the trader who thinks in probabilities. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine flipping a coin that has a 60% chance of landing on heads. Would you expect it to land on heads every single time? Of course not. You already understand that even with an edge, randomness exists. Yet the moment you enter a trade with a proven strategy, something strange happens. You suddenly expect certainty. You expect this trade to work. You expect this setup to win. And when it doesn't, your confidence collapses as if your entire edge has disappeared. This is where most traders make their biggest psychological mistake. They confuse probability with prediction. They think having an edge means knowing what will happen next. It doesn't. It simply means that over a large enough sample of trades, the odds are tilted in your favor. Let me tell you something that can completely change the way you experience the market. Every single trade is unique. Even if the chart looks familiar, even if the setup matches your rules perfectly, even if you've seen it 100 times before, the outcome is still uncertain. There are thousands of buyers and sellers making decisions in real time. News can change. Momentum can shift. Liquidity can disappear. No one knows exactly what the next candle will do. And that's okay. In fact, accepting that uncertainty is one of the greatest sources of confidence you will ever develop. Because confidence doesn't come from knowing the outcome. It comes from trusting your edge despite not knowing the outcome. Read that again. That is how professional traders think. They don't wake up trying to predict the future. They wake up prepared to execute their advantage whenever the opportunity appears. They understand that one trade means almost nothing. 5 trades mean very little, but 100 disciplined trades, now the probabilities begin to reveal themselves. Think of a casino for a moment. Casinos don't panic when one player wins a jackpot. They don't shut down their business because they lost money on a single spin of the roulette wheel. Why? Because they understand the law of large numbers. They know their edge will play out over time. Their confidence comes from mathematics, not emotion. As a trader, you must begin thinking the same way. Stop treating every trade like it's the trade that will define your future. It won't. It's simply one event in a long series of events. Some will win, some will lose. Together, they tell the real story. This mental shift changes everything. Suddenly, losses become easier to accept because they no longer feel abnormal. They become part of the statistical expectation. Winners become easier to manage because you no longer feel the pressure to squeeze every last dollar from them. You stop celebrating one victory as if you've mastered the market. You stop mourning one defeat as if you've lost your ability forever. Instead, you become emotionally neutral, calm, patient, consistent. You begin asking different questions. Not, will this trade win? But, does this trade fit my edge? Not, how much money can I make? But did I execute with discipline? Those questions keep your attention where it belongs, on the only thing you can actually control. This is the mindset that separates amateurs from professionals. Amateurs demand certainty before they act. Professionals accept uncertainty before they act. They understand that probabilities reward patience, not prediction. And once you truly embrace that truth, you stop fearing the future, because you no longer need to know it. You simply trust your process and let the numbers work over time. That is the quiet confidence of a consistently profitable trader. But there is still one final transformation waiting for you. And it has nothing to do with charts, probabilities, or even discipline alone. It has everything to do with the person you believe you are every time you sit down to trade. Chapter 6. The identity shift that changes everything. Now imagine yourself 1 year from today. You sit down in front of your trading screen, but something feels different. The charts haven't changed. The market hasn't become easier. There are still winning days and losing days. But you have changed. You no longer feel the urge to prove yourself. You no longer chase trades because you're afraid of missing out. You no longer panic because one position moves against you. Instead, there's a quiet confidence that wasn't there before. Not because you know what the market will do, but because you finally know who you are. And that is the greatest mental shift of all. Let me tell you something most people never understand. You will never consistently outperform the identity you hold about yourself. If you secretly believe you're an emotional trader, you'll find ways to act emotionally. If you believe you're unlucky, you'll notice every piece of evidence that supports that belief. If you believe you need excitement, you'll keep creating chaos in your trading. Your identity becomes the invisible force behind every decision you make. That's why changing strategies without changing yourself never creates lasting success. The old identity simply recreates the old habits. Think about it. A person who identifies as healthy doesn't wake up every morning debating whether to exercise. It's simply who they are. A disciplined investor doesn't argue with their long-term plan every time the market becomes volatile. Their behavior follows their identity. The same is true in trading. The goal is not to force discipline. The goal is to become a disciplined trader. There is a difference. One requires constant willpower. The other becomes natural. This is where everything you've learned comes together. You stopped believing the lie that another strategy would save you. You stopped needing to be right on every trade. You shifted your focus from chasing money to following your process. You learned to treat losses as lessons instead of personal failures. You embrace probabilities instead of demanding certainty. None of those lessons stand alone. Together, they build a completely new identity, the identity of someone who respects risk more than reward, someone who values consistency over excitement, someone who understands that success is built through thousands of disciplined choices rather than one lucky trade. Read this carefully. Profitable traders don't wake up and make disciplined decisions. They wake up as disciplined people. That's why their actions appear effortless. They aren't fighting themselves every day. Their habits have become part of who they are. And you can build that same identity, one decision at a time. Every time you follow your plan, you're casting a vote for the person you want to become. Every time you respect your stop loss, you're reinforcing discipline. Every time you walk away after reaching your daily limit, you're strengthening patience. Every small action is shaping your future self. The account balance will eventually reflect that identity. But the identity always comes first. So the next time you open your trading platform, don't ask yourself, how much money can I make today? Ask yourself, what would a consistently profitable trader do in this moment? Then do exactly that, again and again, day after day, month after month. Because the market is not waiting for you to become smarter, it's waiting for you to become different. Remember where this journey began. You thought the missing piece was outside of you. Now you know the truth. The one mental shift that makes you a profitable trader was never hidden inside a chart, an indicator, or a secret strategy. It was hidden inside the way you think, the way you respond, and ultimately the person you choose to become. Change that person, and over time everything else begins to change with it.